underrated movies. I'm your guy, I'm your man, Mr. Alton Henry. Today, I would like to talk to another underrated film that I just finally had the chance to see, and it's a Robin Williams film, What Dreams May Come, directed by Vincent Ward, starring Robin Williams, Cuba Gooding Jr., Annabelle Sikora, and Max von Sweer. And it's a story about a doctor who goes through grief along with his wife after losing their children, and after a tragic accident involving him, he gets thrown into the afterlife, and he goes on a spiritual journey of learning about his wife suffering through grief of losing him and their children, and unfortunately it, it eventually revolves around her ending her own will per se, and Robin Williams' character tries to find her and pull her out the depths of the underworld. I'm trying to best way to summarize this movie. Um, this is actually a film I found to be very breathtakingly beautiful. And there's so many interpretations that kind of goes along in this film, just from what I believe from watching this movie. It's one of Robin Williams's more dramatic films, kind of somewhat similar to Dead Poet Society, and well, there was another one. Like, well, not necessarily like 1 hour photo, but this is more of a dramatic kind of film, and it's a beautiful, visually stunning kind of film, and just done a little bit more style over substance. But I think they found a even balance of telling a uniquely uh tragic but spiritual story of a man learning about the flaws, the errors of what he's done with his life, and what he's done with his children, and trying to uh, find a way to learn from it, but also trying to heal his wife, who is grieving with dealing with after so many losses of the life that they've had on Earth. And Cuba Gooding Jr. plays, I believe he plays an angel. He plays an angel who is guiding Robin Williams to basically on his journey. But then also there's something in depth with his character that he's also grieving and dealing with. They don't reveal that until later into the film. And turns out those two characters actually know each other when they were on Earth. This film deals with grief. It deals with um, the sins of of not forgiving, allowing grief and just negative energy to kind of consume you, leading you to a very darker path while also trying to find ways to move on and forgive. This is a very emotional film, and and I would just say for like a '90s fantasy film, and the way that they interpret, I think they were kind of, and I wouldn't necessarily say in heaven, but I think they were close there. I love how they interpret the character's vision of what heaven could be, or what inspired them to visualize it based on things that they love, things that they were inspire. Uh, it involves with painting. Uh, Annabelle, Annabella's character, who plays Robin Williams' life, loves painting, and they portrait heaven like as a painting, like everything's made out of paint, and it glows. There's so much color that kind of just brights out. There's a lot of I think there's the film was trying to say something more about color and what it represents based on mood, feeling, because when things start to feel like very bright and joyful, the color saturates, and it's very expanded out, especially when they're in heaven. But when things become more sorrow, more darker, the colors starts to dim, and there are some crazy imagery in this film, especially for a film made back in the 90s. The way they predicted certain things with like hell, and it's haunting. Uh, yeah, I mean, but the way that the art direction of this film is just beautiful. Uh, Man, there were some moments here in this film I thought was very heavy, especially when Robin Williams is reflecting a lot about his life and what he's been trying to teach his sons, uh, dealing with his wife, and realizing the errors he's made on some of the decisions he's done. It really kind of it really I think it really hits you heavy, but also you do grieve while the character is grieving. You do feel the journey that they're feeling. And that's why I really, really appreciate this film. And it does give you a lot of thoughts about, I think, thoughts about really about the afterlife. I do think this is one of Robin Williams's best films. I don't know that's a bold statement, but I really do think this is really one of his best movies. The movie does feel a little bit surreal. So when they have this montage in the beginning where you're chronicling how Robin Williams met the woman that he loves, and you chronicle him all the way into his family life to losing his children, you when he goes on this journey, it does feel, I mean, it's a fantasy drama. You do feel a little bit surreal, and sometimes the movie feels a little bit, I wouldn't say all over the place. Tonally, it does feel like there's montage after montage, if that makes sense. Uh, where things feel just it feels chaotic, but more in a fantasy like realm. Uh, and that's something I think just as a viewer, it was something to kind of get into. I love. I just love the visual take. I love how this film. I love the deeper meaning about this movie. And I think it's a shame that the film bombed when it came out back in '98. I think the budget was like close to 80 mil. The movie, I think, made like I think 10 million less of what the budget was for the film. And the trailer did sell it as a spiritual journey, and it's unfortunate that this film didn't do well. Uh, because I thought it was a very impactful film. And I don't know. I mean, maybe the subject was a little bit too heavy. But I like that the film was the way that it was to channel heavy topics such as this. I mean, I think it's a very powerful film. And there also is I mean, there's a happy ending to it, but I don't want to, if anybody's feeling like, man, I don't want to watch no depressing movie. Yeah, I mean, it gets a little depressing, but it's also, a happy ending too. Spiritually, is a happy ending. I do highly recommend this film. If you have a YouTube account, you can currently watch it for free on YouTube. Do check this out, especially if you're looking for something that's a little bit more unique, something more, um, I guess, spiritually resonating, and something more positive. Because lately, I've been noticing a lot of trends of a lot of demonic movies coming out. I would recommend this film, especially if you're a huge Robert Williams fan. I mean, this movie, I think, is breathtakingly just beautiful. What dreams may come? Have you seen it? Comment below. Let me know if you have, and let me know what is your favorite underrated movie.